All right. People are on here, huh? Sup, what's up? Yo, hey. How's it going? I'm gonna wait a couple minutes. Wait a couple more minutes before I start shouting. Well, I'm not gonna shout, but you know, that was a sort of a figure of speech. I was appropriating a verb. Cool Jack. Yeah, there you go. How's that, Leonardo? Y'all doing all right? Okay. I'll wait one more minute. I'll wait about one more minute, and then wait about one more minute, and then I'll get on with all the blah 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 blah. Staccato, hello. Art Nookie. Do it all for the Nookie. The Naked, man, some of these names are great. The Naked Artist Official. Hi, man. Hey. Amy, why do I want to why don't you want to be a part of my live video? Give me a reason. I have people who want to jump in and just like, I don't understand. It's like, hey, can I jump in? Well, I guess if you're just sort of fucking around, you can. But I mean, I'm gonna talk about a few things that seem to be of value to people. So it seems like that really wouldn't work. Just having somebody essentially crash the party that way. All right. How we doing? Y'all good? Kind of holding this thing. I'm realizing now that I've got a month of these under my belt that maybe I should get some sort of a stand if I'm just going to talk, you know, or sit. Maybe I'll sit and prop the phone up somewhere. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. Okay. I mean, the number keeps jumping. It's weird because the number on here, it sort of keeps jumping, and like I'm about to start talking about something that I planned on talking about, and then the number, and I pause for a minute, and the number jumps, and then I'm like, I want to wait and get a few more people. I don't want to miss them. But anyway, all right. I think we're one way or another at the end of this thing. It'll be great. It seems like a lot of people seem to see it one way or another. So. Anyone else ready? Just send me a comment and say, I'm ready. Ready? You ready? Am I ready? I just put a lot of pressure on myself to deliver. Okay. All right. Hope y'all are well. Hope everything's going all right for you. No one seems to really know when this is going to be over. It seems like the various news sources I check, it's just, don't know when it's over. Maybe there'll be a second wave. Maybe there won't. No one really knows. And so we just sort of soldier forward and hope for the best. Anyway, I hope y'all are staying safe. Hopefully you're well and not sick. So here we go. I'll take care of a little housekeeping, and then I'm always in search of like a little bit better light because the studio's kind of dark and I don't want to be totally cast in shadow. Okay, so here I am, as you can see, far away, up close, far away. Sorry, I'm just entertaining myself with that. Okay, here we go. All right, a couple things I want to mention. First, the link is still up on my profile page. If you go to the link, you will be able to click on it and get my 2020 press kit. I just came out with this press kit last week. It's a small, it's a very small PDF that you can email out to your friends and family and interested art collectors, and it's hyperlinked with links back to work that you can click on and buy and see some prices and all kinds of stuff. So not everyone on here is actually an artist. There are some non-artists and collectors who are on here. So like someone here just said, I'd love to see more of your work. Well, hey, you want to see more of my work? You can own it. Click on the press kit and click through it and buy it. You know, that's one way of seeing more stuff. Anyway, so there's this little press kit that came out, and it looks really good, and it's very small, and it's a simple PDF file with hyperlinks, and it shows all my work from various sizes. Most of it's recent. There's some newer work in there that that hasn't been given a lot of airtime. Yeah, so check that out. Click on the link. I don't know if I'm going to keep that link up forever, but you will find it on the press page of my website for quite some time. There's a link at the top of the page, and then there's a button at the bottom of the page. Just look for 2020 press kit. 2020 press kit. The link is on my Instagram profile right now, so check it out. Also, I've taken a couple of these videos. I wish I would have gotten the first one or two, and I just screwed up and didn't save them properly. But I've put a couple of them on that press page. So if you want to go back and hear some of the things I talked about in the last couple of these Instagram Live videos, because we touched on a lot of different things. Anyway, some of that stuff I think could be very much of value to you. I put them on my press page. So click on my press page of my website, and you'll be able to find a couple of those videos there. Anyway, that's that. We'll see how this one goes. If it feels like it's gone well, or y'all think you liked it, when you're done, shoot me an email, drop me a line, and maybe I'll add that one to the press page too. We'll see. I really think the first one went really great, and I just, somewhere along the line, I didn't save it the right way or whatever. Anyway, so are we still here? I think we're still here. Can someone? Yeah, I think we're still here. Okay. Sorry, it looked like it stopped. And yeah, field.debbie, no, I'm not going to put you in my video right now. Sorry. Anyway, all right, so here we continue on. Also, one other thing I wanted to mention, if you happen to be a collector of mine, I would love you to email, not direct message on Instagram, but email me an installation shot of my work in your home. I'd love to see that, or your institution, or wherever you are. I am thinking about doing another project with those installation shots. So if you happen to be one of those people on here, please send me a shot of the work installed in your space. One other thing I want to mention on here is my email list is really, really important. So please get on my email list. Send me your email. If you click on contact on my website, you can enter your email field and click the black subscribe button. You'll subscribe, click the black button, and you can jump on my email list. They tend to find out all the little interesting, nifty stuff way before social media, and I try and give them people on my email list, I try and give them a little bit of extra attention. So please do that. Okay, so we got through most of that. So the thing I wanted to talk about today was a friend of mine, a buddy of mine, has a ranch, and he was nice enough to let me hang out there over the weekend. And he happened to, I had no plans on making art. I planned on just hanging out and checking out and just not thinking about things. But he happened to have a pad of old drawing paper lying around, a marker, a tube of black acrylic paint, a brush, a few graphite pencils, minimal supplies, very minimal supplies. And I'm used to working in my own studio with tons of supplies, tons of paint, tons of tools, tons of stuff. I've got my own neat, tidy setup. I had this small pad, and I just, next to nothing, a lamp, a small drawing board, like a student drawing board. And I ended up making a couple things that were really kind of cool. I mean, I was very limited, and it's been a long time since I've worked that way, and I thought it was a really, really interesting exercise, and I recommend it to people too. So I want to share some of the work with you, but it just goes to show like who you are and what you make can come out in various ways, even if you feel like you've got one hand tied behind your back, so to speak. That's a little melodramatic, but you feel like you got one hand tied behind your back, or you feel like you don't have the supplies you actually want. Having some restrictions and rules and guidelines upon you can sometimes help to make something interesting and surprising and unexpected. God, that's sort of a metaphor for the pandemic, right? Isn't it? For being quarantined? I didn't think about that until I said it. I think some of the best things for me come when I think some of the best. Are you kidding me? You are a joke. Okay, Spink and Pauline. Thanks for your feedback. All right. Anyway, so I feel like it's something for everyone to remember, and I'm going to walk over and show you some of this work right now. Okay. All right. So, as you can see, I sort of scribbled pandemic in there. I reappropriated the term and reused it and shuffled it around. So here's some of the pieces. These are 24 by 18. Real pleased with this one. How that turned out. And then I'll do it. You can sort of see the texture. So I cut up a lot of paper. There's a little bit of drawing. Appreciate that. Appreciate what you just said, Mona Zarin. Appreciate that. I don't put a lot of stock in what people say. I feel pretty confident about what I'm doing. But thanks for the feedback nonetheless. Here's another one. Use that pandemic term again. I mean, I'm showing you things that are resolved. I'll show you some of the scraps and sketches and stuff it was an afternoon. It was a simple afternoon, but I do like these, but I'm mostly showing these because I think it's a really interesting exercise sometimes when you sort of remove some of your normal elements and some of your normal tools, and you're forced to work within a tight and more restricted paradigm. Again, this is not a new sort of exercise. These are the sort of achromatic exercises are done all the time, but they also sometimes they showcase the artist's personality in a different way, and it shows, you get to sort of peel back and see the wizard behind the curtain a little bit when a couple of the ingredients of the standard or normal recipe are removed. I hope that makes sense, because I think that's an important thing for everyone to remember. I mean, we could take this a step further. What if you're a painter and someone just says, hey, make a sculpture today with this box or this piece of cardboard or this foam or something, I mean, there are interesting ideas to keep in mind. And it's always, not all the ideas are going to be resolved or turned into a quote-unquote finished piece of work, but they could nonetheless end up being something interesting, Sometimes before you define it as art, some of the lead-up time and some of the activity that leads up to the piece before you actually call it a piece is sometimes really, really kind of interesting. And I'm going to zoom in and, I'm just given a bunch of paper and some black ink and pens. Oh, and of course a pair of scissors, right? So I'm going to show you a few more. Back up to this one, I did piddle with that weird sort of white paper stuff around the edges a little bit when I got it back here. Just, I don't know, I felt like doing something with the framing on that. So that's that. Then what we're gonna do is we are going to walk over here, and I'll show you, whoa. Here's one of them that I piddled with. I didn't like it, and I messed with it yesterday. Added a little color, a little pink, another 24 by 18. And then the last one of these I'm gonna show you, it started out the same size and I cut it down. And interesting exercise. I learned a lot. I would consider these all finished and resolved. I'm glad you like that, Brandon Wandas. I'll zoom in. You can see what I did. All right. So I'm back. And then I'll just show you, fuck it. I'll show you some of the scraps. These don't really count for anything, but the process, I don't normally show this stuff, but just random scraps. And I did a little blind contour line drawing there. I happen to be standing there. Actually, this is an interesting point that I was telling you about with this pad of paper, and there was a barbecue pit in front of me. I started blind contour line drawing the shapes and extracting the shapes from it. It's really nothing, but I'm showing you a little bit of the thought process. There were some candles on the table. These don't look like much. You can sort of still make out a barbecue pit in that one, but it's anyway. And even what happened in one or two of these, I keep rotating the camera back and forth. They started out as blind contour line drawings that it just sort of stimulated me. But that's something I haven't done. It's something I haven't done in a long time. Is simply start out with some sort of external referential material, or I don't know if I would call it a still life or not. I guess you could, and just sort of use that as a springboard or a stimulus into making what I'm going to make. Sometimes the work turns out sometimes the work ends up looking exactly like something I would have made if I would have been looking at nothing. Sometimes it leads to a whole other thing. You just never know. You never know when you're trying new things or you're sitting in a new environment. I also wasn't in my studio clothes where, as you can tell, I'm used to making a mess and not worrying about it. I was in my street clothes, and and so I was probably a little self-conscious about spilling on myself. So interesting. These are all little things, but they all add up. All these little things, you tweak these little things, you try these little things, you give yourself a new set of rules. And those things can kind of end up adding up to leading to new discoveries. And one of the things I want to point out is it's another Hollywood movie. It's another big, sexy story where you hear about all these sort of inventive, creative people having that eureka moment, that breakthrough moment. And that I'm sure that does happen. But in my personal experience, a lot. It's been a much less sexy story. Whereas you chip away every day, and then you come up for air, and you're like, something new did happen, but it germinated. It took a while. It percolated. It wasn't like, boom, lightning struck me. And people don't like to talk about that because that's not really the sexy thing to say. But when you're sitting down behind closed doors with other artists, and they might talk about profound shifts they've had in their work, I bet you a lot of them would say what I just said was, well, I worked at this for a long, long, long time. I worked at it every day. And then I kind of started to slowly, the key word there is slowly, realize this was changing, or this changed, or I wanted to do this or that. So I think people should keep that in mind as they beat themselves up about not, having some overnight lightning bolt, big idea, bright light bulb going off over their head. One other thing I wanted to mention is a friend of mine got me a new show at the MoMA for Donald Judd, and I've just started flipping through it. It's a beautiful book. I'm not plugging them or anything. In fact, the museum, I'm sure, is closed due to the pandemic. But I've started reading. There's collections of who's it by? Hold on. I'll just say Judd by it's by MoMA. It's by the Museum of Modern Art. And I started flipping through some of the essays, and I do read a lot on Texas, but I think it's really interesting to spend some time reading about, learning about other artists and their biographies and their backgrounds, especially if they're very different than yours. And I don't have, when I was in graduate school, I was surrounded by a lot of artists who were making work and had a process completely different than mine. And in some ways, I think it probably fueled the way I work and the way I think even more. I wanted to be different than them, right? But when you get past that stage of your life and you're back out on your own in your studio and in the world, you probably won't have that kind of interaction with people or your peers. And it's important to continue to kind of read about and learn about people who obviously interest you, but maybe their work is completely different. And I'm very much interested in a lot of work that looks nothing like what I make, So I think that's something to keep in mind. I put down the novel. Was I reading it or listening to it on audiobooks? I don't remember, but I've been going through these essays, and I find myself doing that a lot lately as I'm reading essays and reviews and lots of articles, much more so than novels. And I need to find a couple of good novels that I can sink my teeth into. It seems like the last couple of things I've been recommended are from various people that I've slogged through. So happy to take some recommendations on that front from y'all. If you want to email them to me, that would be great. So as usual, what I thought would be 5 minutes quickly turned into about 20 or 25 minutes. Now, I realized that I was getting a few questions from people emailing me or direct messaging me stuff, but I wasn't, a couple of them weren't something I thought would be that valuable to y'all on here. And I do want to keep this about not just, telling y'all about my stuff, but hopefully, whether directly or indirectly, I'm helping y'all here. I want it to be valuable to everyone. So, and more people keep sending me requests to be in my video. That's the strangest thing. Okay, if you want to set up for all of these video requests, if you want to set up something special, I'm happy to talk to you about that. But I'm not going to let you jump in on randomly on a video with me. Anyway, at least not today. Who knows? Maybe if I keep doing these, then yeah, I'll be in a different mood. But not today. Anyway, so I didn't ask for questions this week, and then I figured, you know what? I got some good ones on the feed. I slowed down. I took the time to read, and so I think what I will do is take a few, if you've got a few, before we sign off, because we will be at 30 minutes pretty quickly. Any questions? Did I miss some questions? Lots of hellos. Lots of hellos. Thank you, MV. Brandon, Wanda, yeah, Zippo, yeah, that's an interesting point. I use that vertical line a lot. The zip has permeated everything for the last 50 or 60 years. Any questions? Anelli McKenzie, do you keep your exercises or tear them apart? That's a good question. I do both. I do both. And I'm really big, this is just me personally, but I actually think it could be a healthy thing for a lot of people, is I'm really big on I'm really big in reappropriating parts of them, tearing into parts of them, cutting into parts of them. Collage has become a big part of what any other element of drawing, and so that's a good point. So I do both. Suggest some biography on artists. Well, I'll tell you one that I liked, although I'm not always I'm hit and miss on his work. It's a good biography. I read that last year, Eric Fischl's biography. It's called Bad Boy. I thought that was really good. I read a biography last year too on R.B. Kitai, whose work I've started to get more interested in because I've become such a big Peter Doig fan. I saw a Peter Doig show at a gallery in New York about 2 years ago that blew me away because I never understood what the big deal was until I saw the work in person. And there's clearly a lineage between Kitai and Peter Doig, even if Doig's not aware of it. But I'm sure he is. But it's interesting because of the... I would recommend Bad Boy. Bad Boy, Eric Fischl, Bad Boy. If you email me, if you feel like emailing me about it, I'll probably think of a couple others. But I'd start with Bad Boy, something a little bit more current. Just because everyone's going to tell you all the historical ones to read about all the people you know. So I'd read that. It's pretty interesting the way he came up. And he's very candid about how he feels about other artists, many of them still living. And I like the idea of recommending a book where the artist is still alive and well and talking about other artists. A lot of these guys are in their 60s and, it's a good chance they've got another 10 or 20 years, maybe nowadays 40, Okay. Hope that helped, M. Vady. Okay, I'm looking. Sorry, a bunch of questions just came in. I'm kind of, you got to read them on the fly to make sure they're useful. That one. How do you apply black paint to paper? You apply paint to paper. I don't know what you mean by that. Like with a brush? With everything. With a brush, with whatever. Helena.row.art. I have a lot of favorite artists. M. Vady, look up my email. It's the easiest thing to find. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to say my email address. Go look up my email address. It's on my profile. It's on my website. VS_DOS. Do you ever get lonely? How does it affect your work ethic? Yes. Doesn't affect my work ethic. I'm going to work, especially, if you're an artist and your studio practice is one where you are in your studio working by yourself, it takes a certain kind of personality type to put in long hours doing that. Not everyone's meant to do that. So, other artists have different practices, but a lot of visual artists generally, I'm in my studio by myself making my work. That tends to be the historic overview for many. I think the pandemic exacerbates it in a really difficult way. It hasn't really affected my work other than the fact that over the weekend I appropriated the word itself, as I showed you, into some work. So yeah, it did affect my work. You just saw it. Farrelly Art. Hello, Farah. Yes, I listen to music while I'm working. Nothing that's... I like podcasts too, but if they require my concentration, I don't like to listen to those while I work. So yes, I listen to music while I'm working. Just answered that question. Annalie McKenzie. Okay. Anything else? I'm willing to take one or two more before we call it a day. Let me scroll back through. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, hold on just a second. Oh, and then of course they come in, right? Now I got too many questions. um, okay, Art Vikinga. I didn't go to that show in Puerto Rico. It was a really long time ago. My work went. It was a group show, and they picked up my work and took my work. So I didn't go to Puerto Rico. I've never been to Puerto Rico. Amy Farnett Siegel. Is that right? Did I get that right? Amy Farnett Siegel. Do you have someone you respect who helps you see your work? Yes. Actually, that's a really, really good question. It depends where I am. I mean, because if I'm, I have people over to my studio, whether I've been in New York or Houston. I've had people over to my studio. Historically in Houston, there have been close friends who I'm always trying. I think you should always have a couple of people you can go to show your stuff, and they're going to be candid and constructive and critical. You need constructive criticism. You need people who are going to tell you the truth, whether it hurts or not. And you need to have those people in your circle. And I'm really big on that. I mean, for a long time, I would organize my own critiques after graduate school and have you see your work. Hopefully that helped you, Amy Farnett Siegel. Like I've mentioned before, by the way, I'm open for individual critiques. I posted about that. You can reach out to me via email to get more information on that. So, Amy, I hope that helped. All these questions came. Okay. Sebastian asks if you mature into a work ethic. No, get to work. I don't care how old you are. Get to work. Are you 12? Get to work. Your parents, talk to your parents. Whether you're 12 or 80, you don't mature into a work ethic. You got to work. Anyway, I think that's probably going to be it. We've been on here now for about well over half an hour. I skipped a few questions. Page, it's 2020 press kit. You can click on the link in my profile to get to that. You can also get on my email list, and I can email. If you email me, I'll tell you more about individual critiques too. And I think that's going to be it. Okay. I'll see y'all because I'd like your feedback. Let me know if you thought this was valuable to you. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.